So the 8th phylum that we're going to discover is phylum Echinodermata. So how are animals classified under phylum Echinodermata? So animals that has true tissue, imetazoan, bilateral symmetry and triploblastic germ layers, has a coelom, is a eucoelomate, and are deuterostome, meaning they develop the anus first instead of the mouth first, and then have no segmentation. They are considered to be under phylum Echinodermata. So phylum Echinodermata are slow-moving or sessile marine animals. The Echinodermata comes from the word spiny skin. So it has a thin, bumpy or spiny skin layer, as you can see in the diagrams shown. So examples of animals under Echinodermata are starfish, sea urchin, and sea cucumber. So the unique characteristic of animals under Echinodermata is that they are eumetazoans, so they have true tissues, have radial symmetry, but no cephalization, basically no brain. It is triploblastic in terms of germ layer and are eucoelomate, have a hard calcareous endoskeleton plates and spine covered by a thin ciliated epidermis. They are deuterostome, meaning the ring embryonic development, they create the mouth second. Instead, they create the anus first. Echinoderms such as starfish has a very complex water vascular system, as you can see here in this diagram. They also contain tube feet, that helps it to attach on flat surfaces. So the digestive system of echinoderms are completed, as seen here. It has a mouth and an anus. The nervous system is very simple. The respiratory system is through the gills, and they have a separate sex, meaning they can undergo asexual or sexual reproduction. So let's look in detail about the water vascular system. So for this example, we look at the starfish, in which it has a network of fluid-filled canals. The canals is basically like a channel. So there are 5 canals. The water enters via small pores in the madreporite, the ring canal, and the radial canal. So there are 3 places where water can enter: madreporite here, this part, the ring canal here in the middle, and the radial canal at the arms of the starfish. The radial canal further branches into many tiny tube feet. So here we have multiple tube feet attached to the radial canal. So each of these tube feet here has a muscular round sac called the ampulla or ampullae in plural. So inside of the ampulla, it will store fluid. So the fluid allows the tube foot to extend. It's like in this diagram, it extends downward. So when it extends, at the bottom of the foot, a suction cup helps to adhere or attach on the surface. So the water vascular system also helps in feeding and gas exchange. So the water can enter through the mouth here, into the lower stomach and out of the anus. And in between, the water will move through. The water can also act as a hydrostatic skeleton for locomotion, in which you can see here the arm of this starfish being moved as it curls around itself. The scientific name for starfish is Asteria species, in which it has multiple arms radiating from the central disc. The tube feet is found under the surface of each arm, the mouth in the center of the underside disc, and are known to be carnivorous, predators, and scavenger. One such predatory starfish is called the crown of thorns. It has poisonous thorn-like spine that cover its upper surface along its arm. The spine can cause a sharp stinging pain that can last for several hours, persistent bleeding due to the hemolytic effect, nausea, and tissue swelling that may persist for a week or more. One Acanthester plancae can destroy 5 to 6 square meters of coral reef in 1 year. In the Great Barrier Reef of Australia, this organism has destroyed extensive areas of coral. A species, Acanthista pacrae, is a major threat to coral reefs because it feeds almost exclusively on the coral. The body structure is similar to starfish, but it has multiple arms, up to 21 arms. So the last phylum that we're going to discover today is the phylum Chordata. Let's go! So animals that are classified in the phylum Chordata are eumetazoan, bilateral symmetry, and triple plastic germ layer. Is eucoelomate in terms of the embryonic development is a uterostome, and it differs from Echinodermata because they are segmented. Animals under the phylum Chordata are called chordates. They are eumetazoan, meaning they have true tissues, is bilateral symmetry and has cephalization, triple plastic and eucoelomate, has an endoskeleton such as the cartilage or bone, has a closed circulatory system with a ventral heart, are uterostome, meaning they develop the anus first during the embryonic development, has segmented body that are very specialized, that the basic segments are not very obvious. However, the obvious part is serially repeated body muscles and skeletal structures known as the vertebrae. So, chordates have 5 unique characteristics. The first one is that they have notochord, have pharyngeal slits or slits in the pharynx, dorsal hollow nerve cord, post-anal tail, and myotomes. So the first one, the notochord, is a dorsal longitudinal rod here. Okay, so it composed of spongy connective tissue surrounding the fibrous sheath. It is firm but flexible. It is located at the dorsal to the gut, between the digestive tube and the nerve cord. Provide support to the body and the site of muscle attachment, and present at least in certain stages of their life cycle. So in vertebrates, the embryonic notochord give rise to the vertebral column. So the second characteristic, the pharyngeal slits, usually can be found during the embryonic development, in which a series of grooves develop at the pharynx. So the pharynx is basically what I assume is the part of the neck. A series of outpocketings from the lateral sides of the pharynx extend to the groove. Okay, so in vertebrates, most vertebrates, it is seen only the embryonic development. So as it becomes a fetus, it will completely disappear. So the pharyngeal slits are basically perforation found on each side of the pharynx. So the perforated pharynx first evolved to become filter suspender for food particles. So in aquatic chordates, the gill is then adapted for gaseous exchange, meaning for respiration. However, in human, the first pair will become the auditory tube while the others will be disappeared. The third characteristic is the dorsal hollow nerve cord. So the name indicates it is a dorsal tubular nerve cord here at the back here, located at the dorsal, and is considered to be hollow, nothing inside, and it is singular, so there's only one. Usually becomes more specialized at the anterior end that develops into the brain, and the rest will be developed into a spinal cord. So anterior end of the organism, the animal, it will become the brain, and at the back it will become the spinal cord. So the nerve cord develops into the central nervous system. So in human, it becomes the brain and the spinal cord. In vertebrates, the nerve cord spinal cord is protected by the vertebrae. So the fourth characteristic is the post-anal tail. So the chordates have a larva or embryo with a muscular post-anal tail and an appendage that extends beyond the posterior to the anus. So basically at the back here. So in aquatic vertebrae, however, the tail is reiterated for locomotion, so it helps fish to swim. The fifth characteristics are myotomes. They are blocks of skeletal muscles, a series of muscle segments. They are arranged in pairs on either side of the body and supplied by a single nerve root. The myotome is part of a somite that develops into the muscle during embryonic development, and in certain chordates only during embryonic stage. it usually remains in the primitive chordates and will work antagonistically. In fishes, they will help in terms of providing locomotion. So one example of a primitive chordates are Amphiosus species, also known as the lancelet. The lancelet or the Amphiosus is a translucent fish-shaped animal, so technically they're not fish. The adults usually burrow itself in the sand in shallow water, and they are also known as filter feeders.